this is Chef Kathy, and I am in Lincoln City, Oregon, down at the beach, the beautiful Oregon coastline. And today, for your pleasure, we're going to be making a dish called spinach and mushroom manicotti. Your sauce, so you want to melt 6 tablespoons of butter, a quarter of a cup of flour, and you're going to bring that to a nice roux, and then you're carefully going to add 2 cups of half and half and a can of chicken broth. And you want to let it come to a simmer and boil it for 1 minute until it gets thick, and this is what it looks like. And then you're going to take it off the heat and set it aside. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put half of the sauce in the bottom of the pan. And that's where the manicotti is going to go. And I did 2 cups of half and half instead of 1 because I'm going to stuff the manicotti shells raw. I'm not going to cook them first. And then what I did was I made up the filling, which is a quarter pound of fresh mushrooms minced or chopped really small, a medium onion minced or chopped really small, and then you're going to cook those on the stove until they get to like the limp stage. And then you're going to add a package of frozen chopped spinach, which is thawed and drained. You're going to get all the extra moisture out of that. And 2 eggs, a cup of cottage cheese, and a quarter teaspoon of tarragon. And that's what it looks like once it's all mixed up together. So now we're ready to stuff the manicotti shells. And I have 1 package of manicotti shells, which is 14 pieces. And what I'm going to do is these are uncooked, which makes them a lot easier to stuff because they're rigid. So I'm going to take each one, and I'm going to take a teaspoon, and I'm just going to stuff some of this mixture down in here. And it's sort of messy, this part, and just make sure you keep your finger over the bottom end of the tube so that the stuff doesn't fall out the other end. And you just sort of coax it down here like this until this is probably the part that takes the longest amount of time. And just stuff it real good. Make sure you get a little bit of everything. So there's one, and then you're just going to place these in rows. I think I'm going to do it this direction. And make sure you get a little bit of everything. You want to make sure you get some of the egg in there as well, because it all helps to bind it together when it cooks. The last manicotti shell, we're going to stuff this in. Fill it all the way full. We might have a little bit extra left over, but that's okay. You can either put it in alongside or just discard it, whatever. Just keep stuffing. I just find it easier to use my fingers, which are nice and clean. Really push it down there, but doing them uncooked is so much easier. I tried doing them cooked, and they're so limp that they're difficult to stuff, and they break on you. You know how when pasta gets soft, it breaks really easily. Okay, so there we go. We've got 14 shells in there. And I think we probably don't have room for any more, so I'm just going to go ahead and wash my hands. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pour the rest of the sauce over. And cover this, so I just drizzle this over like this. And because I did the extra half and half, there's extra sauce, but remember it's going to cook at a lower temperature because the pasta is uncooked. Okay, so we'll do that. And then at this stage you want to cover it with foil. Unfortunately, we don't have enough foil to cover the whole thing, but this will work fine. And you're going to stick it in a 325-degree oven right in the center here. And it's going to bake for 1 hour. And that's because I put in extra liquid because it was the shells were uncooked. Otherwise, you would only bake it for 45 minutes if the pasta was manicotti. Been in the oven for an hour. It's all nice and getting brown and nice and bubbly. And so we're going to sprinkle on. It's actually meant to be a mixture of half a cup Parmesan and 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella, but I think we're just going to do 2 cups of mozzarella since we don't have the other. And I'm going to, sorry, wash my hands.
You're using Tillamook?
using Tillamook mozzarella cheese. And if you want a different flavor, you can do a half a cup of Parmesan and 1.5 cups of mozzarella, but we just have mozzarella. So we're just adding a little bit extra mozzarella to give it a nice brown crust. Okay. And then it's just going to go back in the oven for probably about 10 minutes till it gets nice and brown and bubbly. And then it will be ready to eat. Okay, so here is the finished product. Oh, lovely and brown. Here's our finished manicotti. It's spinach mushroom manicotti. Yum.